And they were like, you seem to know what's going on here.
You're hired.
Like you literally, so like you cultivate your own community.
100%.
They were like, you're young, you seem cool, like you know all these people that we're trying to market to. Do you want a job? And I was like, and I had reviewed one of their products on my music blog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like that's literally, like
that's
you kind of
insane.
make your own magic in a way by putting yourself in front of people. Like, do you want to hire a 20-something that you might know a little bit about digital? You want to hire somebody that you've seen they have their pulse on, on the scene.
What's
and
happening?
they understand your product. That's great. That's like a double bonus, right?
Hello, welcome to Music to Your Ears podcast. We have a wonderful guest today, Jessica Page, co-founder of Rareform. In my opinion, queen of the world as well. I'm Jimmy Mikaoui, joined by my co-host.
I'm Danny Garcia.
Jessica, welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. So fun to be on and excited to be. What guest am I? Number 5, 6?
We don't know in which orders they're going to go out. There's a lot of mystery.
It wasn't number 1, but okay, I'll let it go. Mike Clemenza.
Exactly. Mike was guest number 1, absolutely. We were all super nervous. It went well.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. It's always fun to do this. And much more fun when you actually know the people that are hosting.
Do you want to tell us a bit about your journey and how you got to co-found an awesome agency with your co-founders and
my work wife, my co-founder?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know how far back we can go, but obviously
as far as you want.
Yeah.
Obviously,
we all played in bands at one point.
I fake DJ'd at some point in my life.
Me too.
Yeah, right. Everyone does that.
Yeah.
If you're in a major city, you're obviously a DJ. Well, you and I go back to the mom and pop days, specifically your days at Marathon and Courtney Barnett as well.
Exactly.
Which was an amazing time and place, and how we first got to know each other, how you first got to know my business partner, Hallie. So that was a great, amazing experience. 7 years of our career collectively, Hallie and I together. 7 years we did together, and then co-GMs at the end, last 2 years, I believe. And prior to that, I cut my teeth a little bit in distribution. I was there for about 2 years at a company called Caroline, which is now, as all the music people know, Virgin. And prior to that, I did a little stint at, where was I prior? I was at a music tech company called XFM, and there was also working at Complex, covering live music and ticketing for a few years. So fairly well-rounded. I would say that Mom and Pop was my most informative and the biggest growth for me, and like an incredible experience. And, thankful for Goldie and Thad for putting the faith in Hallie and I to really help grow the company and have lots of wins. But my focus was specifically on digital and streaming and building out those teams, while Hallie focused more on tour marketing, project management, the more traditional aspects, I guess, of what a project manager, and also just like what a GM of the company, which she did become, really focused on keeping the budgets in line, keeping people happy, running all the teams. And yeah, that led us to, in 2020, we left separately. We started kind of consulting. Later on, brought each other into campaigns. And then there was, lucky for us, so much business that we started this company. And I think, we learned how to do a lot of things really well at a smaller company. And that allowed us to kind of know how to hire publicists, know how to run radio campaigns, understand what DSPs need, understand the ever-changing landscape of digital strategy, and also how to hire and manage people. Yeah. So where we are now is somehow we've gone even more indie, even though we were what I feel is a very cool, fair indie label that was very friendly to artists, but really taking on the role of how do we support managers? How do we look at campaigns in a non-traditional way? How do you build a sustainable business for artists and manager? And I think it really runs the gamut. Some's really traditional, like we want to street a top 5 record and we want to win a Grammy and these are our goals the next 5 years. And some is like this artist doesn't tour but has a massive catalog and they're interested in illustration and running their Discord, and that's how they're going to sustain and that's how they're going to sell back to their fans. So I think, you get to use your mind in different ways, but it's exciting to be in this place now, and there seems to be a great need for it, especially artists trying to enter the US market that really need the boots on the ground and like a deep understanding of who you can hire independently in this space when you don't have a massive major label backing you, or you're not interested in those types of deals, whatever it may be. So we've become those people for, I think, a good chunk of that type of specific artist and team.
That's awesome. For listeners who aren't familiar with Rareform, could you give a bit of context?
Sure, absolutely. So Rareform is a very a la carte label and artist services company. We are totally agnostic. We are not attached to a distributor. Everything we do is like, anything from hiring and building teams, US, globally. So do you need a radio person? Do you need a project manager? Do you need someone doing press? Do you need somebody tying it all together and running your strategy? Are you just coming in for your first big US tour? Have you been touring for a long time and you really want to level up, or you want someone harassing the promoters every day of their lives, keeping tabs on them? Like, we're those people. So, and then on the streaming and digital strategy, I think, that world is forever changing, and tailoring like really specific strategies to the artists, to their teams, whether it's your CRM strategy, running advertising strategy around a campaign to complement everything you're doing, making sure that the DSPs are being taken care of, that we have a structure and strategy around the best way to get what you want and to market to these teams and people. So really anything that a label could provide or an artist services team, a big management company could potentially provide, we can provide, and also fill in the spaces where maybe it's lacking for various reasons. Maybe you're a management team with 2 people, but you really need a more robust strategy and support. So
what is for you the best attributes or the biggest challenges when you have to market in the US, a non-domestic band?
Yeah, I mean, no secret that it's a very competitive market, and it's very expensive. I think those 2 things right there are a great barrier to entry for, I would say, 90% of artists trying to enter the market. And then just the time and money that it takes to introduce a new artist. I think, you can, and how prolific they can be through that experience and how consistent they can be. Because you can have one amazing record. And if you're not back for 4 years, it can be really, really challenging. So, that feeling of like, we've come so far and so much money has been invested. Hate to hark back to my record days as a, label exec, I guess. But it's like, cool, when's the next thing coming?
Yeah.
Which is really hard to hear for artists that just blew it out for a year and a half, right? So to me, I think it's probably what a lot of artists face everywhere. But I think coming to the US is like the monetary investment across the board, visas, touring, just marketing yourself in general. And then the amount of time and investment that takes, because it's not 3 months, it's not a year, it's usually multiple years to really grow and be impactful. And I think it's just really hard to make money in this industry. It's really hard, especially as a developing artist, to start out.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead, Danny.
No, I was just gonna on that note, like a lot of people listening to this are independent artists, like just starting out. Like, how can they? Do you have any advice for them wrapping their head around that? Like the amount of money, time it takes to get from 0 to 1.
Yeah.
And any frameworks they can kind of tap into, or
that's a great question. I think like framework wise, I think I would say, I know this is very hard for artists, but trying to think of yourself as a business. Like
that's huge.
what are you gonna grow around you that you can continue to nurture? So like, is it your own community? Probably, like, it's very helpful to be the artist that people call when they come into your city.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what does that network look like? That's how you end up opening for bigger bands, going on tour. Your agent will do that for you eventually, but if you're not making your agent money, which you're probably not when you're developing, you kind of have to develop those relationships on your own before someone decides that you're worth investing in, right? You're a business.
Yeah.
And I think like the second part is, how are you holding on to those fans that you're growing? How are you funneling them, and how are you letting them know, like, sure, you have social media, but we all know that's gated. It's a very important component. Like, never too early to start an email list. Never too early to grow. And the third thing I would say is just consistency. I think like 4 songs a year is going to be hard to grow off of. And I think like thinking about what's in your bank and how you want to do that, and then how you want to collaborate with your community. The growth does, for a lot of artists, come with collaboration. And not every artist is built that way, but I would think about the crossover, the growth, who else you're plugging into. That's where I see the biggest growth of independent artists, and the introduction to a new audience, right? That sounds a lot simpler than, but I do think like when you see scenes coming up in cities, that there's like 4 people coming out of it. Like New York is having that now, right? It's like the Dare, Frost Children. Like there are these things that it's like they all know each other. They all collaborate. They're all in photos together. Fuckers, all of them. The last photo is all 4 of them together because it's a scene. They know each other. They've all DJ'd together. They've all done these things together.
And it like rises the tide.
Right, it rises the tide, right? Like who's getting the first call to open for who, who's at the festivals together. I mean, that's not always. I feel like New York is having like a rebirth that I probably haven't seen since I was here in like 2007.
Oh, wow.
Well, if you were here before, you saw the scenes in the Lower East Side. So it's not always that simple, but I do think like community, when I see something having success and then it's like, oh, this person is on it. Oh, I'm opening for this person. Like part of it is that you're buzzy on your own, and part of it is that you've cultivated relationships, because a lot of those people did not have agents, did not have those things,
And it works like aside from, because there are people that aren't in a cool city like New York, LA, right? Like, but it works online too. Like
100%.
They, like the same thing. That's what makes it a good framework. Is
I
like,
came into music on Twitter, online.
100%.
3 of my best friends in New York moved here after I used to throw a brunch when all the music bloggers would come in for CMJ. That's how I got my first job in music.
Wow. Yeah.
my 2-year anniversary of my music blog, my first bosses that hired me in music tech, company doesn't exist anymore, came. We got quite drunk for like, they were probably like 33, right? And they were like, you seem to know what's going on here.
You're hired.
Like you literally, so like you cultivate your own community.
100%.
They were like, you're young, you seem cool, like all these people that we're trying to market to. Do you want a job? And I was like, and I had reviewed one of their products on my music blog.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like that's literally, like
that's
you kind of
insane.
make your own magic in a way by putting yourself in front of people. Like, do you want to hire a 20-something that you might know a little bit about digital? You want to hire somebody that has you've seen they have their pulse on, on the scene.
What's
and
happening?
they understand your product. That's great. That's like a double bonus, right? So if I hadn't done that and, been working in restaurants and bartending, being like, I had no idea. I didn't even know how music got on platforms or anything. When I did distribution, I was like, oh,
But to that point, are you able to move the needle digital only, online only before artists come to market? Because when we used to work together, it was all about we need artists in market. Otherwise, there's little we can do.
I think it's a different ambition of being at a label, right? Because the artist in market means sessions. It means investing in the tour support. It means how do we get that artist to the next level so that we can do more than break even on what we've invested. I think when you're developing, it's a very different thing. Because like you're not at the level where you're going to have, maybe you have some label interest, but you probably, I would say, don't sign a deal until you have more leverage, if you can generate that for yourself. So I would say that to me, it is always still depends on consistency. I think, being able to like curate your own kind of world online too really, really matters. I think that we're like past the time of like really maybe like beautifully edited content meaning anything online. I think there's like I think there is a really like amazing place for long form, but I think it only speaks to like a very specific type of band in one place when they have like maybe earned that spot to be able to spend that money and like maybe give like their core fan base is much larger and they will consume that, where it's like maybe that's not the best of your small budget to go and shoot that. So I think it like becomes about personality, about like lifestyle, about cultivation, and about being able to like consistently create that around yourself, if that makes sense. I think like the best things that I see of artists succeeding, and I think it's like a real blessing to feel comfortable in that space, is like being able to like be yourself in that place. And for some people that's really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge that like I don't know how to solve for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a recurrent theme here.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I will say, like, for the bands that I work with, they are not TikTok bands. It's not because I chose that. It's because, like, that's not who they are as people, so it was never going to feel good to them. But what they did manage to do is, like, before they invested in shooting like big robust long form, they invested in like their friends shooting them at shows. And that when they were doing like tiny tours, they had a buddy with them that was like willing to bring a camcorder, or somebody in the band was like willing to shoot and like show what it was like. And somebody was like, we always had that. And from that would translate to fans. And then we developed more, they developed more personality style things, like leaving notes for fans.
Yeah.
They really came up with stuff that they could be like, how do I talk to my community? Because I'm not going to be the TikTok dance guy. And I kind of have social anxiety, but like, you know, I'm a deep poet, so I'm going to write some poetry for my fans, or I'm going to like, you tell them to sign up for email list. I'm going to send them like a really long like journal entry rundown. I'm like, that works.
But that's awesome, because we talk about this challenge a lot on the podcast.
Yeah.
How do you develop a consistent brand and still engage with the fans with things that aren't just the promotion of music and opening, you know, the door to your personality, which then puts you in that uncomfortable spot.
Yeah. I think it feels like when I start to work with artists, especially developing artists, and I think like we go through this with like large artists when you sign them into a system, you're like, what brands are you cool with? What don't you like? What are you comfortable with? I think it's like, if I can spend, like, let's say my scope of work is to like help develop a digital strategy, right? I'm going to go to SAA and I'm going to like do that with this artist and Mike today. I know this artist really well. So it's like a gift that like, then we have a little bit of budget and support and we can like bring Mike into it early. But it is about that. Okay, what do you like to do? Like, he was really into like animation and clay. Okay, that's maybe a bucket of something. He's really into whatever these other things are, like actually sitting and saying like, let's deconstruct your personality, and this is probably uncomfortable for you, but at least we can find some things that you genuinely like to do that you won't be uncomfortable with, and let's see if they connect. And sometimes it is like trial and error. But I do think it is like, if you're not the like, hey, out here like guy, and which most people aren't, like, thank God I am not an artist, because I'm much better at telling people what to do than doing it myself. I'm like, follow my advice, not as I, do as I say, not as I do type of person. But I just think that like, you kind of, again, it comes back to treating yourself like a business and brand. And I do think like the strongest artists, most successful artists are like, yes, they're really creative. But I think that they like have really found a way to like speak to their fans, and like, you know exactly who they are when you like see the image, or you watch something, or you do see an interview. Like, their personality is so clear, their creative is so clear. So I think, part of working with Courtney Barnett is like, I feel like there was always like a message in creative, but maybe that artist did not want to be face to camera, but like those things were so strong that you knew exactly what they were trying to say, so you could build around that. So it kind of has to be like, is there a really strong message we can run with, or is it, and like, you're an artist and that's cool, and you've done all the illustration yourself, and like, we know what to do with this, or is it, I really need to get like my personality and figure out who I am and what I want to show, and maybe those things give you more control, right? Like, you don't have to show everything. You've chosen your buckets of what you want to show. So that is like a branding exercise for a person, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. I mean, with Courtney, we were blessed with so much talent and so much vision that we had too many tools to play with.
Yeah, that's like a dream. But like, also you have to develop into that. Like a lot of, there's still guidelines for like what that looks like, where you are at. And I think, every generation has a few of those artists where it's like so crystal clear, and you're so blessed that they have found themselves as an artist and that they have then chosen to work with you. But there's a lot of mentorship that needs to happen into that place. And like, sometimes we work directly with artists. Like, a management team is still a job. Like, you are investing in a person as a business. So how are you making your money? It's really hard to develop artists. So there's like a lot of guidelines that we do for up and coming artists that are like more session based, or we are doing hourly. It's rare that we do it now. But when we see somebody that like we think is really great and they like have a vision, they need a little help sorting it out. Like, I think the next things we'll do is probably develop like a guide that people can tap into,
Yeah,
you know?
that's
So
huge.
it's like, and maybe we do it as a group session or something. Because I do really feel like we're great at developing artists, but it is a like time cost benefit of like, how do you get them to this place, or how do you start to teach them so that they can cultivate on their own? Because
That's the magic word, you know. We come back a lot to the lack of education, but
there's such a lack of education.
Yeah, we
it's
were
really
talking about this
challenging
earlier.
because
But it's
artists
like
are asked to do so much
It's
that
crazy.
you need
Yeah.
to educate them on 20 aspects of the business.
And Hallie and I talk about that all the time. And, you know, I came off a panel at Miami Music Week,
Yeah.
and it was like, you know, a few people from Spotify, a few people, you know, here, a good mix of people. But, you know, and Spotify's like, okay, we have these metrics we're showing. Like, people are pretty transparent, right? But what do you do with data you don't understand? What do? You have no idea if your benchmark
It's
like
good or
is
bad,
1,000 streams today good?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what's a save rate? So I started kind of saying, hey, if you're between this and this save rate, that's pretty average. If you're here or more, go like, you know, write a note. Tell somebody that you're there or more. Like, put it in your next Spotify for Artists update. You know, things like that. And like a lot of people came over to me and were like, no one's ever told us that before. We have all this data, but it's really overwhelming. Like, what do we do with this? And I do think it's like, I know who that data is designed for, right? It's designed for me. It's designed for you. It's designed for a distributor that is supposed to be like helping market and use this in a informative way for planning. But the truth is
measuring an ROI. That's
and
really
then
how it's
that
presented,
too,
you know?
which is great for like the industry people. But like, there's a massive part of the industry that is not educated. That is the people that are generating the business, which is the artists, you know? So it's like,
and
we'd probably be more powerful to educate all of them freely, because it would make all of our jobs easier.
100%.
People would know what I'm talking about, you know? Like,
and they would waste time, you know. For me, that's the I don't expect them to know, because that knowledge is so difficult to acquire, and they don't necessarily teach any of that in the music schools and stuff.
No.
But the heartbreaking part is the time and resources lost trying things when you and I have the answer, and it would have been so easy not to do it for them, just to say, hey, turn left at the next corner.
Exactly. Like, there's literally, they're walking around blind being like, I don't understand how any of this works. And, you know, digital, I think I like and I excel at, because I like to try the things and know the platforms, and it's nothing standard, right? Like, it's forever changing, which is frustrating, but also really fun. Like, I can't do the same repetitive thing over and over again. I'm not built like that. But we came out of this, I came out of this, I guess, this panel thinking we should have a QR code that just sends a sheet of like benchmarks and like best practices, and not at the like upload an audio liner, at a like, here's how you read your track. Here's how you know if you have something good. Like, maybe you just need a win that day to keep going. Maybe it won't be that you have a rep to tell, but maybe you'll be like, I'm on the right track. Because I don't know how you inform, besides that something blows up, or you're just like, bless artists, because like that is just what they need to do. They can't do anything else, and this is what they're creating, and like, we need all of those people in this world. But I just think like, I look at stuff when I haven't had a win in like a few months, and I'm just like, man, this is a really hard business. You know, like, it is. And you get these little wins, or you get a really big win, and you're like, cool, I'm doing the right thing. Like, this feels good. Or you get inspired again. Like, how do you stay inspired? You know, it is. Or you're watching your peers succeed, or you're watching these things. Like, I think it's really important to like, I don't know how you map out your future if you don't know where you are. And I think there's just like this massive lack of education. So anyways, came out of that thinking like, people are coming over thanking me for 3 bullet points of knowledge on what their metrics look like. And there's these wealth of, there's the chart metrics, there's song tools, there's all these things, right? But like, if you don't know what you're looking for, if you don't have the context, for me, I can open a page and look at a bunch of stats and be like, all right, we're not doing so bad. And like go and, but that's 15 years of looking at streaming stats, every day from like I wake up and I'm like, how are we doing? Like,
I mean, I think like, or just to go back to macro too, like a lot of artists focus on the wrong thing in terms of like the monthly list. Like, so I think for me, I always tell people just focus on engagement, because that goes across all DSPs, even socials, right? Like I think,
and it does go into it is considered an algorithm in your track 100%. Score, all of those things. Like I told somebody, if your track scores are over 60%, you're probably going to start to hit an algorithm.
Yeah.
And that information comes from outside of the platform as well as inside the platform.
Yeah.
But like, they're like, what? Things I'm doing outside of here that I'm not even telling them about. And I'm like, yeah,
it tracks. And so that's like one of the, just to kind of distill it down, is like, it's got to be about engagement. It's like save rates, followers, likes, comments, like to your point. That's because I see a lot of artists just going like crazy on the playlisting. And like 1 million monthly listeners.
Well, I got a bunch of questions like that. And I'm like, I mean, there are certain reasons why you wouldn't do it. If you're going to do it, it has to be really specific and strategic. And we won't get into why people do that. But I'm like, you're going to throw off your whole audience. It also has to learn about you.
Yeah.
I'm like, create some playlists that have you and your the peers where you want to be.
Yeah, that's your whole.
That's where you start to see the radio pick up.
I have a whole
I'm deep in that. I'm deep in that world too. Yeah. And I'm like, let's warm up. Nobody knows who you are. Let's send some marketing dollars that way.
Yeah.
It's hard for an artist and manager to hear, I think, a long tail overarching strategy, because that means it's money spent on a thing that they can't see a direct ROI in immediately. But I'm like, we are, whether you like it or not, in the algorithm years. We're going to be here for a long time. Maybe forever. I don't know. It's not my job it is my job to maybe know the future, but I know where we are right now. And what works in these spaces is you're training a machine to learn about you. That's what it is. Meta's the same way. I'm like, don't spend if we can't spend for 2 weeks because we're going to cut a campaign off.
Exactly.
It will never learn anything about you. I'm like, can we get a bucket of money to run in the background? Our team will optimize. That's hard for people to hear, that it's not single by single, that it's not these things,
Also, like for me, the biggest takeaway is the short-term versus long-term investment, because that focus on streaming numbers and immediate impact from running whatever campaign is a short-term benefit that does nothing for your career. Whereas like building that engagement over time, these fans are going to stick.
Yeah.
They'll come to shows. They'll support the next releases.
It's also for the larger artists. Like sometimes I'm walking into a big meeting and they're like, we want a number one in this market. And I'm like, okay, who's done the CRM strategy? Because you need a lot of vinyl to do that. It's very rare you can just do it on stream. You basically can't. So it's like, how are you building that? Every timeline we make has a CRM strategy overlaid in it.
That's huge.
And we find the thing that we want to do. Like if I'm working on something, we are going to walk away with 3 to 5 times the amount of direct first level contacts, because I don't think you can build a career or do anything next. And like, I don't know who we're selling tickets to. I need to know the audience. I need to be able to remarket to them. Like if it's all not working together, then you're just missing a chunk of your business forever.
So it's going to the power of the email list.
Yeah.
Like just this, which I was on a panel yesterday here at Indie Week about exactly that, like the email list. And I think there was a lot of people in the audience, like kind of just like, oh, I'm not looking at that at all.
Yeah,
in terms
crazy.
of like independent artists.
That's wild to me. I'm like, that's your whole business.
To your point is like that's the core of the business.
I'm always like, I would rather have 300 people that are going to buy something from you than like 20,000 that are like at a 1%, 2% open rate. Who cares?
It's the highest like ROI channel. That's what we were saying on, because you can reach them directly. They're actually going to buy something. Etc. So I think we're kind of preaching to the choir.
But that's where it goes full circle on the back to the engagement versus certain metrics that DSPs want you to use at benchmarks, but don't do much for you. And there is a generation of artists now that build their profile on the back of passive listening without necessarily understanding what it means. Numbers are great. The dollars coming through the door are great. But then
Yeah.
the main piece of a career building strategy is missing in that context. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends what you want your career. I mean, that's also like a first question we asked you because, like, A, I don't want to work harder than the artists.
Yeah.
B, I mean, I will, but I don't want to. And B, like, everyone has a, coming out of a label system is like, even an indie, like, it's still a business, and it's a specific type of business, right? Not good or bad. It's just like that is the business model for that. When you talk to independent artists, like, we're always like, well, what's your goal? What is your idea of success? Because it's probably very different than the world that I came from, which is like, let's street a top 5 record and blow out a tour. And like, maybe we win a Grammy and that would be great, like, and everyone makes money, like, and so I think like not every artist wants that.
Yeah.
Some artists don't mind the passive listening. Some want to have an active Discord that they sell to. And yeah, maybe they're on like some passive, but they could care less if they get a playlist. Or their audience is so active that they're like, why would I care about a playlist? I just want to make sure that I can optimize this, which is an amazing place to be.
Yeah.
And we're like helping optimize their business.
So it's like reverse engineer from the goal.
Yeah, kind of. Like I try to because like I just don't think that like every type of artist we work with is so different, and which is why we're like, we don't have rate cards. It doesn't make sense. I can't give you a rate card. There's like a few parts of our business that are like really specifically, which is more advertising as a percentage, but otherwise it's like a challenge is to move in and out of these teams and figure out where you fit in, because like sometimes they have one person that really excels at this thing, but not at other things. So you're filling that gap.
Yeah. Question on, I think we touched upon it a little bit, but like the live side, we were just talking with, Dan from Sonic Bids before, and we were talking about the crossover of like digital and live and how you can kind of bridge that gap as an artist. Do you guys touch upon that a lot, or is that
digital and live in terms of like,
I mean,
the visibility of the artist playing live?
Like, how do you capture people that are at a show, right? Like capture that and like use that as momentum? Or on the flip side, how can your digital strategy help bring people out to shows, right?
Yeah.
Because that was the main point. Actually, we talked about this like after the recording, but from the label recorded music side, you kind of win when there's a stream or a sale. Yeah. And that's the end of the journey or the effort you were starting. And he was laughing because he said, well, for us, after that, you need to get people to get off their couch, get in their cars.
Which has become harder and harder.
And then drive to a venue and spend 2 hours there,
I mean, there's a lot of things that we do that probably a promoter or a manager think are maybe non-traditional. Managers, because they rely on like a promoter and agent to do the basics of like selling the tour and pushing it forward. I think that like we have a really great pre-sale to on-sale strategy that captures a lot of data and front loads, which a lot of people do with Seated, and front loads how the start of the tour looks, which gives you an idea of like where you're going to need to invest and in what markets, and how much of your like core audience converted, which I think is really important to know, because you either have like a lot more work to do than you thought, or you're doing better than you thought, or you're like right where you thought you could be, and it can always be better, right? We have had experiences in markets that like it is just not selling well, and we do a month-long either warm-up or what we call like a mid-maintenance campaign where we do a marketing funnel, and I can tell you it works. It's an investment, but you will at least break even and have like people butts in seats, which is better than having to cancel a show. But that means you hit people with top performing content, and you warm them up, and then you warm them up, and then you funnel those people that watch for 15 to 20 seconds into here's the new content and live and our best live show content. And then you hit them with trying to sell a ticket, and like, we moved 200 tickets that we wouldn't have moved, but we invested about $1,000 to do it. Maybe 500 to 1,000 depending on it. But in every market, when we pre-sale, we do localized assets. We hit the market. There's a distribution based on past sales, and it's working really well. But it's also this gap of like, there's the strategy missing because like there's too much to do on the agent side. The managers don't know that world at all. Thankfully, Hallie, my business partner, does know that world really well. Tour marketing at foundations, years at AEG. It's like this mid part that we've picked up, but it does end up being a investment from the artist. But it works where we usually start at $100 to $200 a market for pre-sale, but then you know who your audience is, and then you have the data.
Yeah.
So it's a long-term investment.
No, and
to me, I'm like $100 to $200. You're converting this sales plus collecting data. Is a win-win. Like everyone should be really happy about that because you're gonna have to sell those people vinyl, and you're gonna have to do all these other things, and you're gonna have to remind them you exist a year later. Like
there should be like some sort of like lifetime value or something calculation for the person that actually like the butts and seats example, like those 200 people.
Yeah, that's your most engaged. They're gonna buy other shit from you.
100 over the next like 10 years, probably if you had a great show, right? Like I'm still buying like Tame Impala crap that comes out from the show that I went to.
Grizzly Bear tickets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've been to like 3 shows. They haven't put a record out in years.
100%.
I'm here for it though. I'm also old. I want my nostalgia.
Because you went to the show like years ago, right?
It's like core peak. Indie memories for me.
So it's like the fan lifetime value equation.
I think that like really I know that there's so many platforms that like, I think the way that it's like sold to manager, they really, I have worked with teams that are like, this is how advertising works because they're working with big ad tech firms that are like, it's 10K and here's the visibility you got. There's not, and I get that. There's general visibility and engagement, which I do think is valuable, but I think that people truly are like, we're not investing in advertising because I don't understand the ROI. And I'm like, the ROI is like the CRM. Like almost every strategy we do has a ROI to it.
In fairness to them and to your credit about how you're doing it, there's a lot of scenarios where management will sign off on the investment and never see the data. So whoever's running the campaigns will capture all that data for their next 100 campaigns and different artists as well.
I mean, we deeply, deeply preach like own your data.
Yeah.
Everyone else does. Literally, like everyone else owns your data and makes money off of it. You should at least be owning it. And I was talking about earlier some of the like management teams we work with that also have labels and they have like an incredible roster, especially on the management side because it's been. And I'm like, I never asked them, which I'm sure they're not doing, is like, how is your artist-owned data used across all of your artist teams? Because a lot of management teams are very not structured like a traditional business. You're kind of on an island with some other people and you're using maybe some top managers or resources to like leverage things or, whatever it is that you're doing. But I would say they're not as like structured strategically. There's a few of them that are where it's like, oh, let's pool like all of our data from all of our artists and like, let's make this work for everyone on the team. Which I'm like, that's a huge loss.
Yeah.
We should do that, But there's no one there. That's not what managers do traditionally.
You're right that they're not structured like that. I think the genre diversity within the roster adds another layer of complication because they don't even think that.
Sometimes, but it's like we're so past genre barriers that it's like if an audience isn't working, it's not working. Shut it off. Who cares?
That's true.
It's not that hard, Like it's like, okay, check that one off. We literally unchecked a button and it's no longer something. And like you don't know. Like sometimes I see things and I'm like, oh, that ROI is crazy on that audience. What is this? And it's like a custom audience that we developed through whatever we developed it through. And I'm like, let's take note of that. Apparently it works for this genre. And I did not think that it would.
And it's a lot of times it's like creative and audience. It's not even like the genre.
Yes. And that's the thing. I'm like,
test like 4 different
creatives. Yeah. I'm like, you gave me a bad creative. Yeah, Can we please get the creative we asked for? Like an ad mat that flashes once on someone's screen is like usually not going to cut it.
100%.
So yeah, it's usually like we're about to announce a tour and there's, the I guess like smaller tour, this is going up into bigger rooms, more dates. The tour sold out in a day. The last tour, I'm like, we have all this amazing footage of like the artist playing. He's meeting every fan that stays. He stays for hours. It's like amazing. So rare to see.
Yeah.
I'm like, make sure that gets in there. Like, what are we looking for? What's the messaging? Please keep the messaging the first 5 seconds. I think that we will blow out this tour. I think they're really nervous about it. I'm like, the fan engagement's really good. People were driving 2 hours. Now we're in those cities. I think they will go again.
Yeah.
You know, you don't drive 2 hours to see someone and then say, I'm not going to buy the hometown show. You just don't.
You're going,
like,
for sure.
I don't believe that's fan behavior.
Yeah.
So, bad fan behavior. I would bank that they would be buying those tickets.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we're coming up on time, but we do like to end with one question, which is, what's the best piece of advice you've gotten in your career that you'd like to kind of impart on anyone listening?
It's once you understand like how valuable you are, like other people will start to value what you do. I think to really know yourself and like believe in yourself is to allow other people to believe in you too. And I think until that was the best piece of advice.
This is awesome. Thank you very much, Jess.
Thank you, Jess.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, guys.